The SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, the junior novelization. Chapter 21. Then Sage rolled away. Bye, he said. SpongeBob looked at Patrick. Worse? Dude said much worse, Patrick corrected him. A noise outside the palace drew them to the barred window of their cell. They peered out and saw letters being put on the building's marquee. Sponge and Star Execution Extravaganza? SpongeBob read. Oh, that couldn't be for us. Then he realized. It is for us, Patrick! We're gonna die! Chancellor and a prison guard arrived at their cell. Prepare the prisoners! Chancellor ordered. Well, kids, he said to SpongeBob and Patrick, it's your big moment to fry. Shine! The guard opened the cell door and motioned with his spear. SpongeBob and Patrick came out and followed Chancellor down the hall. The guard was right behind them, pointing a spear at their backs. Please follow me to the Green Mile. Green Room, Chancellor said. Everyone says the show is going to be electrifying. I'm so sorry. I keep accidentally mentioning methods of execution. It's cool, SpongeBob said, shrugging. Don't lose your head over it. Or lethally inject yourself, Patrick added. Anyway, Chancellor said, if it's any consolation, you're the hardest taken in town. They didn't react. The guard gave them a poke with the tip of his spear, and they let out a little half-hearted cheer. Yay! Mr. Krabs, Sandy, and Squidward zoomed through a hyperloop in the Pattymobile on their way to the lost city of Atlantic City. Whoosh! Mr. Krabs? Sandy asked. What are we going to do when we get there? I don't know, he admitted, but maybe you two could kick in some gas money. In the Aqua Lounge, a master of ceremonies walked on stage with a microphone and said, Ladies and gentlefish, welcome to the greatest show underwater! Now, without delay, let's meet the contestants! In this corner, a sponge and a star, two of the ocean's most notorious criminals. As SpongeBob and Patrick were wheeled out and seated at a courtroom defense table, there was a boo sign lit up. The audience members were only too happy to oblige. Boo! And in this corner, the Master of Ceremonies continued. Representing His Majesty, the King Poseidon's very own Chancellor! As Chancellor, wearing a powdered wig, was rolled in on a courtroom podium, an applause sign glowed. Once again, the audience followed directions. Woohoo! Yay! Now, said the Master of Ceremonies, put your hands together for the Duke of the Dirty Deed, the Earl of Executions, the axe-wielding maniac, Lamont. Lamont, a big lobster wearing a hood and carrying an axe, stood on stage. The audience loved Poseidon's executioner. They chanted, Lamont! 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 Ladies and gentlemen, the Master of Ceremonies said, now a moment of smooth jazz in memory of the soon-to-be-gone. I give you Kelpie G. While Kelpie G serenaded the audience, SpongeBob leaned over and whispered to Patrick, Oh, Patrick, I feel terrible! I dragged you into this whole mess! It's okay, SpongeBob, Patrick whispered back. I made a plea deal with the prosecution. He winked at Chancellor, who winked back. Oh, that's good, SpongeBob said. Wait, you did what? All I have to do is... Patrick said, thinking hard. Oh yeah, bring incriminating evidence against the defendant. SpongeBob jumped up from his seat. Patrick, I'm the defendant! You are? Patrick said, surprised. Oh!
Listen, Patrick, SpongeBob whispered. I've got a different idea.
He quietly told the plan to his friend, whose eyes got big. Patrick smiled and nodded. From his balcony box, King Poseidon ordered, "Let the proceedings begin!" Chancellor spoke from behind his podium. "Your Honor, I would like to enter into evidence one sea snail. Name, Fred." Guards brought Gary out and placed him on a small table.
Meow!
He cried when he saw SpongeBob.
Gary!
SpongeBob called. Chancellor pointed an accusing finger at SpongeBob. "How dare you! That's about all I can say. How dare you come here to the sanctuary of our revered sovereign to steal what is most precious to him, to rob him of which pumps his very lifeblood, his adorable good looks. How dare you!" The crowd gasped, impressed by Chancellor's speech. "Guilty!" shouted Poseidon. The crowd cheered, calling out for Lamont the executioner. But then the power went out. In the darkness, a hooded cane yanked Chancellor away from the podium. "Hold it!" said a voice. Whoom! A spotlight glared on, revealing Patrick standing behind the podium. "I have something to say," he announced solemnly. "Just 2 words. Challenge coin." "Challenge coin?" Poseidon said, baffled. "What is that supposed to mean?" Patrick grinned. "I'm glad you asked, Mr. King Guy. I will be glad to explain." Chancellor pushed his way into the circle of light, right next to Patrick. "Stop! This is most irregular. You are one of the defendants. You can't just get up and start talking. This is a trial, not a talk show. Guards!" The guard started to move toward Patrick, who held up a hand. "Just a moment," he said in his most grown-up voice. "I believe Mr. King Dude asked me a question. If I do not answer the king, I'm disobeying his command, right?" Chancellor hesitated and thought for a moment. "Well, I guess technically." Patrick turned to the audience. "Do you think I should answer the king's question?" The audience cheered and clapped. They were pretty sure that saying you shouldn't answer the king's question could get you in serious trouble. "Okay," Patrick said. "So that's settled. Now, Mr. Kingly Person asked me what I meant when I said challenge coin. You see, once upon a time, there was a sponge and a sea star in a scary little town called Goner Gulch." Patrick told the story of how he and SpongeBob had gone to Goner Gulch and met Sage, the tumbleweed, and received a challenge coin and taken on El Diablo and his cowboy pirate zombies. He told it all the way through to the moment when he and SpongeBob had sped away from the ash monster El Diablo had changed into. The audience listened to Patrick spellbound. Even King Poseidon enjoyed Patrick's story. He'd never heard of cowboy pirate zombies or challenge coins or talking tumbleweeds who offered wisdom and guidance. "Quite a tale," he said when Patrick had finished. "Thanks," Patrick said. "But what has it got to do with trying to steal my snail?" King Poseidon asked. "I don't know," Patrick said, shrugging. "Nothing." Angered by Patrick wasting his time, the king scowled, but then he realized he was frowning, and that frowning put lines in his forehead. Wrinkles! He quickly reached for Fred, but his snail disintegrated in his hand. It was a fake! A decoy! "What? Huh?" Poseidon said, astonished. "My snail!" During Patrick's story, SpongeBob had sneaked up into the king's balcony and swapped a decoy for Gary. As soon as he had his pet snail back, he'd slipped out of the Aqua Lounge, followed by Patrick. King Poseidon realized he'd been fooled. "Halt!" he bellowed. "It's a trick! Seize them!" Stay tuned for Chapter 22, coming up soon.